name is Michelle Odom, and I am one of the co-hosts along with Randie Henderson. This session runs from August 19th until October 14th, 2014, and we are reading Alice Walker's book, We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For, Inner Light in a Time of Darkness, Meditation. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You can find the National Black Feminist Book Group on Google, YouTube, and Facebook. Please feel free to join us in reading our story together.
My name is Georgette Moses. I'm watching I'm not watching, I'm participating here from Columbia, South Carolina. And I'll be moderating tonight, and I'm enjoying this experience as usual.
Great.
Labeeb.
Hi, I'm Labeeb. I'm tuning in from New York, Long Island. Again, I'm finally back, and I'm happy to be back to participate in tonight's discussion.
Okay. Venita.
My name is Venita Walker. I've been a member of the book group since session 1, which was very stimulating. And I look forward to session 2. I'm actually chiming in from Connecticut, in case anybody's interested. Okay,
All right. And last but not least, Michelle.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Odom, and I am joining you from New York. I'm in Manhattan today, in the Big Apple.
All right. Tonight we'll be discussing Chapter 2, Childhood, and Chapter 3, When Life Descends into the Pit, of our book, We Are the Ones We Have Been Waiting For, Inner Light in a Time of Darkness, Meditations, by Alice Walker.
The chapter begins with a scene from Miss Walker's novel By the Light of My Father's Smile, as the ghost angels of the two main characters' sisters watch the burning of one's deceased body and all of her belongings. We are told that this is an important pagan lesson about how destructive the need to be remembered is. It also reminds her of the following poem: When life descends into the pit, I must become my own candle, willingly burning myself to light up the darkness around me. What does this poem mean to you?
It means to be reflective, I think. But in order to be reflective, the author is telling us you've got to have something within, and that thing that's within, or those things that are within, that make for our character, that give us strength, are those things that are encoded in the wisdom that we receive from our elders, and that we receive from our communion, as Venita pointed out, our communion with Mother Earth. You see, that we should not just walk this earth, but we should be immersed in it. And by being immersed in it, and the standard bearers, listening to the standard bearers, listening to our elders, spending quiet time, with nature, we are absorbing those key kernels of light, that then, when we descend into the darkness, as life is challenging. Life, as Venita had pointed out in her own personal life, you're hit with something all of a sudden that brings you low, brings you into the darkness. So you have to have that light from within that will guide you out of the darkness and back into the light. One of the things that Allah talks about in the Quran, just bring up Quran, is that He creates the darkness and He creates the light. And we see this, and that there's wisdom in this, and we see this in the alternation of daylight and nighttime, and that nighttime chases day and overcomes it, and daylight chases night and overcomes it. So in life, in the cycle of life, we are going to descend into darkness. But we must understand that in that wisdom, what comes after the darkness is the light. So we have to rely upon, again, the wisdom of our elders, the wisdom that we absorb from being engaged in life around us, that creates the light within, and we employ it, we use it when we need it.
Okay.
That's it. Let me just interject, please. I'm about due to sign off, unfortunately, but because I have something at 7:30. But I'll hang on for as long as I can. All right.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you, Labeeb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would someone else like to answer this question? You have some thoughts about it?
I agree with Labeeb. One thing I did find when I was I thank God, thank Allah or God for lupus, because I actually saw things as they really were, not as I wished them to be. At some point, I was the curio that was looking into the looking out of the cabinet instead of people looking in the cabinet at the curio. So I actually did not see the light until I was in the dark. I actually saw the world, the good, the bad, and a lot of ugly, the way it really was, which left me more equipped actually to deal with what's going on in these years following my initial diagnosis with lupus. So I would have never ever had the opportunity, if it weren't for lupus, to actually get inside my own head, to see the world as it really was, to stop and be still. You know, I was in my own mind. A person is really energetic, suddenly in their own mind for 2 years, in the bed, in the house. And I would have never had the opportunity, ever, in life, if it weren't for lupus. So a lot of art came out of the illness. I know that probably sounds a little unusual for someone to say that, but I don't believe you could ever see the light or appreciate the light unless you've been in the dark.
That's so true.
So, and also good friends helped, very good friends, like my dear friend Michelle, my only friend, my best friend.
Yeah.
I'm really not saying that to suck up or for the good time I have. I'm actually saying because I really feel from the bottom of my heart that I love Michelle. Michelle is my best friend, and she helped me in my darkest hours when I was going crazy.
All right.
Likewise.
Everybody needs one of those good buddies.
That's right.
I guess Venita said that, and it made me think about one of the childhood question. One of the things that I learned pretty early on was that we have a lot of people that I would say are disconnected from reality, and that will flip the script on you in a minute. Or last week, I mentioned that I have been surrounded by a lot of mental illness, and a part of the way that I see that manifesting is in people denying reality. And so they'll do things, they'll do ugly things, hurtful things, and then if you say, I'm hurt, their general reaction is, what are you talking about? That never happened. And so what it said to me was that I have to be very clear for myself. So I place a lot of value on staying connected to reality. And it's one of the things that I like about forums like the book group, where, we're all reading the same pages. And we may interpret them differently, But we all know that she was talking about potatoes and grapes and and peaches. You know, what I'm talking about, the type of person that would say to you, there's no mention of potatoes or grapes in that book. And, you know, and I think we're driving each other crazy with that. It's mental illness, but it's also it's a manipulation by people that have all kinds of very sick agendas. So, um, so for me, what I'm saying about that short poem is that the inner light that we have to find and nurture and hold on to um, is our clarity, our perception of reality.
Good
Okay.
point. Good point.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle.
So the part that stuck out to me in the poem was willingly burning myself to light up the darkness. So for me, that means I have a control issue. My mom says I'm type A. I'm in denial about that, but I do have maybe it's a Leo thing. I don't know.
Mm.
But to me, that means being vulnerable. I realize usually the time I touch people the most, or somebody hears me the most, or I'm understood the most, is when I stop trying to put up this perception of perfection and just be vulnerable. And for some people, that's refreshing and that draws them in. And that never occurred to me that could actually happen until I actually had to do it. Because, in a relationship, pride can only last for so long. So that just really made me think about being prideful and letting it go, because we all gotta go someday, like she said. And when in the book, she said we're not gonna remember, we're not gonna care how people remember us, something like that. She's like, you're not gonna be thinking about it.
Nobody's going
People
to
are
remember you.
right
Hmm.
when you're dead. You're not gonna be thinking about that. So that's what it made me think about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow, I love your response, Randy.
Thank you, Georgia.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead, Venita.
Randy just mentioned the word pride. It's ironic that I was looking up in the Quran, and I'm not a Muslim, however, I'm a curious person.
Uh-huh.
Just today, just before we started this meeting, it must have been about 5 o'clock, what actually pride meant in the Quran. Isn't that amazing? I'm just amazed that she brought that subject up, and I was just reading the Quran, and for some reason the word pride popped in my head today, and I was just curious, what the interpretation would be in the Quran and in the Bible.
Well, what was it?
Well, pride is frowned upon by Allah and also by God in the Bible and in the Holy Quran if it is used to put others down. Because pride is believed in the Quran, and please correct me, Labeeb, if I'm wrong.
I'm listening.
Pride is believed as from my interpretation in the Quran, that if pride is used to make another person feel less than, it is looked upon unfaithfully by Allah. As a matter of fact, it's not acceptable by Allah, because in the Quran, Allah believes that pride is also followed by arrogance.
Correct.
And
I was gonna say, Venita, that when you tie in pride, which is a sense of self-worth, but
yeah,
when you tie it into arrogance, that puts you supreme, and there's only one supreme being. So if you keep pride tied to humility, then you don't debase yourself and you don't debase anyone else, but you elevate yourself and you elevate others through your humility.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Labeeb, because I was about to say, in in recent years, I have been feeling like, well, I know pride has a bad rep, but I think it's a matter of balance in that, like, if you think of, it used to be the young men that were walking around, with their pants down to their knees. Um, but I'm in New York City, where we now have young women doing that same kind of thing. And it just looked nasty. It just looked like a total lack of pride.
That's
And,
right.
so where's the line? To me, it's like some balance.
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with pride. I mean, pride is okay in the eyes of God, and as far as I understand, in the eyes of Allah. Just as long, I mean, in other words, if you polish your table and you stand back and says, well, that table looks wonderful, that's acceptable. But if you polish that table and turn around and look, at Michelle's table and says, my table is so shiny and wonderful, what's wrong with yours?
That's right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Then that's the problem.
That's correct.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with having pride. And I think we all, have. Well, we're not going to get to that subject because that's a long subject. Anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, Venita, for your illustration.